While Smash Bros. Is mainly a series about Nintendo characters duking it out, in more recent years there have been a much bigger emphasis on gaming icons as a whole. I mean, what other game can you play as Mario, battle Sonic, Mega Man, and Pac-Man at the same time, with Bomberman hopping in as an assist trophy to lend a hand? And that's just scratching the surface on all the third-party characters that are now in Smash. But what if Nintendo kept all but one third-party fighter in the next game? Unlikely, but let's discuss which third-party characters should get the boot. To begin with, third-party fighters are not characters that are created by Nintendo, but created by other companies. We have a group of these in Smash, which include Snake, Sonic, Mega Man, Pac-Man, Ryu, Ken, Cloud, Bayonetta, Simon, and Richter. Those are all in order of appearance, by the way. In total, that's 5 other companies with 10 characters in Smash. These companies include Konami, Sega, Capcom, Namco, and Square Enix. Even though third-party fighters first entered the scene in Brawl, they were originally considered for Melee. That's right, Sonic and Snake were considered for Melee, but the game was too late into development for them to be included. Other third-party characters considered for the Melee included Banjo-Kazooie, and even James Bond, surprisingly. So, let's get to our fighters. Sonic. He's staying. If Smash got rid of all third-party reps but kept only one, it would be Sonic. Out of all the other reps, he's got the most history with Nintendo. He's Mario's rival after all, and when gaming news comes into mind, most people compare Mario and Sonic for their history. Speaking of third-party reps included in Brawl, we've got to include Snake. Not only does he have a unique moveset that no other fighter in the game has, but he was the very first third-party representative the Smash series ever had. He may have been a strange choice as our first third-party character, but it seems no one wants to forget about him. Just look at what happened with the Smash ballot. So, if we're going to include Konami's first rep, we're of course going to have their second and third as well. Simon Belmont is a gaming icon, and while he's not as well known as he used to be, he plays and looks like his original games, and is even a part of a franchise of gaming, Metroidvania. As for Richter, while he could have been swapped out for another Belmont, such as Trevor, Richter represents the newer age of Castlevania, and if those reasons I mentioned for the Belmonts aren't good enough, I don't know what is, because I think we all agree they should have been in Smash much sooner. 2 other gaming legends that certainly deserve a spot are Pac-Man and Mega Man. Mega Man is one of the most recognizable gaming icons, and a great showing of both his franchise and gaming history as a whole, not to mention his recent resurgence with Mega Man 11 as well as all the legacy collections he's recently gotten. Pac-Man represents a time of video game history when arcades were all the eye could see, and arcade cabinets were one of the only ways to play video games rather than being in your home and on a console. While Pac-Man may still be known today, even though his design has changed much in the past years, he will always be the first video game icon I imagine when someone says arcade or cabinet. He really does show that time in history. Another pair of memorable icons include Ryu and Ken from Street Fighter. When I think of fighting games as a whole, Smash and Street Fighter come to mind instead of other games such as Mortal Kombat or Killer Instinct. They have iconic movesets and great designs, and after Mega Man were the best characters to add to the battle. Sorry to all Amaterasu and Phoenix Wright fans. So that leaves us with our final choice, arguably the 2 best characters in Smash 4 if you don't count the DLC as part of the tier list. Cloud from Final Fantasy or Bayonetta from Bayonetta. Here is my decision on who goes. Yes, though it may be a controversial choice, if Nintendo were to throw away only one third-party character, then I would have to choose Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII. Before I state my argument against this inclusion, I feel I must state that I do not by any means hate Cloud Strife, Square Enix, Final Fantasy, or the entire series for that matter. And while I do think other third parties deserve a spot in the roster before him, I do not hate him for that as well. And as I mentioned in my Pokemon Sun and Moon and Smash video, where I talked about why Incineroar maybe wasn't the best choice, I will once more say in the end of the video, I do not hate him. Now, let's get into our argument. Cloud Strife was quite the random choice for Smash 4 DLC, especially considering Final Fantasy VII was the series' first title that wasn't on a Nintendo console. In fact, Cloud wasn't on any Nintendo consoles at all before Smash. Well, unless you consider that Kingdom Hearts spin-off on the DS, that apparently he made a cameo in, which leads me to another point. Out of all Square Enix characters, I'm genuinely surprised Cloud got in over the likes of Geno from Super Mario RPG, Sora from Kingdom Hearts, or hell, even someone from Dragon Quest. Though Cloud is quite the unique character, his inclusion brings in many questions on who can really join the roster, which in my opinion gave a lot of gamers hope for their characters to make it in, even if they were never on a Nintendo console or weren't relevant at that time. But I do have one problem with Cloud though. Actually, let me rephrase that. I don't have an issue with Cloud whatsoever, but instead the treatment Square Enix gives the Smash series and how they give Cloud's representation in Smash Bros. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some fan of Final Fantasy or for that matter Square Enix as a whole. I have never laid hands on a Dragon Quest game, I have never played Super Mario RPG, I have only played one or two of the Final Fantasy series, but they were both on the SNES so they weren't relevant, and I don't exactly know which ones they were. I just know they were on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and they were about from a year ago I played them. And I've only played snippets from Kingdom Hearts 1, never completed the game all the way. But back on topic, the way they, Square Enix, treat the invitation to the Battle of Smash really doesn't feel that friendly to me. In Smash for Wii U and 3DS, we got 3 music tracks representing the series, 3 trophies, 1 stage, being Midgar, a chocobo hat for Mies, which, if I'm saying that incorrectly, please tell me in the comments, and of course, Cloud Strife as a playable character. But for Ultimate, from what I've heard, I believe we only have 2 music tracks, Midgar, and Cloud, which means we have lost a music track, we've lost that chocobo Mii hat, and those 3 trophies. But wait a minute, trophies aren't even in this game, what am I going on about? I must be silly. But then again, didn't Sakurai say they had an equivalent? Oh, yes, spirits. Before I go to my next topic, I must admit I have stayed away from all spoilers for Ultimate. I know nothing but what has officially been stated by Sakurai and Nintendo. So with that being said, one of the only spoilers I have heard thus far is that Final Fantasy has 0 spirits in the game at all. And that's not the only spoiler for the game I've heard either relating to Final Fantasy. I've also heard Cloud makes not a single appearance in World of Light. As I've said, I know practically nothing because I've been avoiding spoilers left and right. But my friend, who is a big fan of Final Fantasy and a much bigger fan of Square Enix as a whole, did accidentally tell me this. If this is true though, this is really strange. You have a story mode like this that celebrates gaming history, and you don't want to include the point in history where a big series jumped ship to another console? Seems more like you were being selfish. Was it that you didn't want to see your representative get quote-unquote dusted in World of Light? I don't think that was the case at all, but if it was, I don't need to see any footage of World to Light that know that all the characters in it will return to normal. Here's my question, why did you even let Cloud in Smash to begin with? There must have been some reason behind his inclusion instead of 3 characters I mentioned a few minutes ago. Sora is a lot more relevant than Cloud, Dragon Quest is popular, and I bet good money that series is even more popular in Japan, and there is no denying the flood of fan support for Geno, arguably one of the most requested characters in Smash history. So then why was Cloud chosen for DLC? Well, for one, it wasn't because of the Smash ballot. Some of the folks I have talked to through my Instagram have said that he was one of the winners of the Smash ballot. To that, no, he absolutely wasn't. The winner and only winner was Bayonetta, which we'll get to here in a minute. But back to the question of Cloud's inclusion, I don't have a straight answer. It could have been to promote the remake of Final Fantasy VII, it could have been to have a way to show off the series in general, or it simply could have been Sakurai asking for a different Square Enix rep, most likely Gino because he likes the character, and negotiating Cloud instead. These are my main opinions on that subject, but let's go on to my reasoning for keeping Bayonetta. While Bayonetta does have very strong opinions against her inclusion in Smash, I couldn't be more shocked that she somehow made it into Smash. For one, she comes from a pretty M-rated series, and while Snake is also from an M-rated series as well, his exclusion from Smash 4 really made it seem like Nintendo was going for a family-friendly experience, whereas Brawl was in an era where everyone wanted a piece of the Wii. Not to mention the fact that, surprisingly, Bayonetta was on multiple lists for top 10 characters for Smash 4, along with characters that got turned down, such as Red from Wonderful 101, and Professor Layton from Professor Layton. I'm not kidding either. Go back and look up the videos, and I bet you 3/5 of them will have her in their list in some form. Despite her appearance in the competitive scene, there's no denying that she was a requested character, and the fans gave up on her chances due to her series. That, and since she's another Sega character, I doubt she'll be leaving anytime soon. Anyways, I hope that was an interesting video for you guys. It was just something I thought up on the spot. I know this video may be seen as a very controversial video, but let me remind all of you again, I have no bad blood against any of the third parties I mentioned. The next video will most likely be that part 2 of the Dixie Kong video I made a couple days ago, and I'm pretty stoked for that, and I hope you guys are too. So what third party character do you guys think should join the roster? I'm a Banjo-Kazooie man myself, and I don't understand why they haven't joined just yet, but there's always a chance in DLC. But I'd like to hear your opinions in the comments below. Who do you guys think should be in? Rayman, Banjo, Steve from Minecraft? I don't know. I won't, make fun of you if you actually do want those characters in. I do really want Banjo myself. Until then, later.